Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is the 20th part of What If Deku Was a Magical Girl Mascot, Quirk, Magical Girl Mascot. The author of this great fanfic is Emma. I will leave links to them and original story in the description. Chapter 20, Shoto's First Magical Girl Fight. Both competitors made their way to the arena. Shoto knew she had to use her magical girl powers for this. She didn't know what she would do with them. All she knew was that it strengthened her quirk, dialed back her drawback and also the wand. She headed onto the battlefield where Katsuki stared at her. Alright. It's the finals. We have Shoto Todoroki right after their quirk-induced sex change. Yelled present Mike. Mike. Aizawa practically growled out. Versus. The hothead explosive magical girl Katsuki Bakugo. Yelled present Mike. Alright icy hot, you better be ready. Yelled Katsuki. Shoto just nodded. And begin. Called out Midnight. Both of them transformed into their magical girl costumes. Katsuki launched herself at Shoto. However, Shoto just created an ice wall. Katsuki blew it up. You have to try harder icy hot. I'm expecting your ice. Yelled Katsuki. Shoto gritted her teeth. She knew she had to use her left side. If she had used it in her fight with Izuku, then she wouldn't be a girl. But part of her was screaming on not to use. The part that still thought it was her father's power. However, she also felt something else. Something new in her side. She focused on that new feeling instead. That was when suddenly the entire battlefield was covered in a thick steam. Everyone was surprised. Katsuki looked around and grinned. So that's your power-up, she said. Shoto was looking at her left hand in surprise, then looked at her right hand and felt a similar feeling but different. However, explosions started to clear away the steam. That's a nice try, icy hot bitch. But it's not enough. Yelled Katsuki. Shoto focuses on the similar feeling in her right side, and then a torrent of water shot out of her hand. Katsuki was swept up in it, but thankfully didn't get pushed out of bounds. In the stands, Endeavor grinned as he saw that his now daughter's upgraded quirk. In Class 1A's box, everyone was surprised. Steam and water? Asked Sato. Oh, I get it. Said Izuku, the power-up is that Shoto's sides influences the other but not completely. Creating steam on her fire side and water on her ice side. That is awesome. Said Ochako. If the temperature of the water is fine enough, I think I might know of something that could work in the future. Said Izuku, who began to mutter a lot. I wonder what that about. Said Ochako with a sweat drop. I think I have an idea. Said Tsuyu. Back on the battlefield. Water and steam, huh? Said Katsuki, getting up. Looks like I have upped my game then. She reached for her gem and grabbed her wand. She pointed her wand at Shoto and she had to dodge the explosions. She then created another ice wall. Mostly because that was the thing she was most used to using. However, the ice was quickly blown up. Nice try. But I already told you, I've been expecting it. Said Katsuki. That was when instinctively Shoto's hand went to her tiara where her gem was. With a flash of lavender light, a wand appeared in her hand. It was double-sided with a glimmering jewel on each end. On one end was a bright red gem that reassembled a flame and the other was an ice blue gem that resembled a snowflake. How do I use it? Asked Shoto, looking at Katsuki. You seriously expect me to tell you during our match? Asked Katsuki with a sweat drop. Shoto's sweat dropped, realizing that is stupid to ask at that point. Katsuki then set off an explosion from her wand. She pointed the fire side of her wand towards Katsuki and it shot at fire, which Katsuki thankfully dodged. Yeah, your wand is kind of obvious at what it does. Said Katsuki. However, Shoto decided to try out the other side of her wand and shot ice shard at her, which she did dodge, but saw on the place where the ice shards hit froze over. Fuck! Muttered Katsuki, looking over the frozen over area. She looked at Shoto. "It's time to finish this," yelled Katsuki, "no more playing around." Shoto once again looked at her wand. She didn't know why, but she decided to try something. As Katsuki unleashed one of her stronger explosions from her wand, Shoto began to twirl her wand like a fan. That was when suddenly there was a burst of wind coming from the twirling wand. In Class 1A's box, they were surprised. "How is that possible?" said Ochako. "I think it's of the temperature difference," said Izuku. "I guess that makes sense," said Ochako. On the battlefield, the two forces collided, causing a large blast. Dust covered the battlefield, making anyone wonder if either Magical Girl was out of bounds or not. Once the dust cleared, they could see that Katsuki was breathing heavily, but she was in bounds. Shoto was barely standing, however one thing was for certain, she was out bounds. Shoto Todoroki is out of bounds. Katsuki Bakugo is the winner, called out Midnight. The crowd cheered. In Class 1A's box, everyone was surprised. "I guess that wind attack wasn't enough," said Tsuyu. "Plus Kaken has been at this since we were little, she had the advantage," said Izuku. Back on the battlefield, Katsuki approached Shoto. "Look icy hot, you're still new at this, plus the garbage fire is probably getting to you," said Katsuki. Shoto gritted her teeth as she de-transformed. You better get better next time," said Katsuki. Shoto looked at her confused. "You seriously think this is going to be our last fight?" asked Katsuki. "We might be teammates now, but there's no way I'm not going to fight you again." "I see," said Shoto, unsure how to respond. "You should really go to Recovery Girl," said Midnight to Shoto. Shoto nodded. She went to Recovery Girl. Recovery Girl used her quirk, which utilized kissing. "So how are you feeling?" asked Recovery Girl. "It's fine," sighed Shoto. "Not just your injuries," said Recovery Girl. Shoto sighed. "It's a big change," said Recovery Girl. "I know," muttered Shoto. "Mizu also informed me what he had discovered," said Recovery Girl. Shoto gritted her teeth. "Everything will work out," said Recovery Girl. Shoto just nodded. She left the temporary infirmary. Turned out Katsuki was waiting outside for her. "Come on," muttered Katsuki. "I don't need a babysitter," muttered Shoto. "It seems like you do," muttered Katsuki. They headed to where they would go to the podium, where Tokoyami was also waiting for them. All of the students had gathered on the field for the closing ceremony. "All right. Let's celebrate the winners of the sports festival," cheered Midnight as a podium rose up from underground, with all three of them all ready to receive their medals. As a reminder, Tenya Ida shares third place, however he had to leave due to his family emergency. In the crowd of students, "I really hope his brother is okay," said Ochako. "Yeah," sighed Tsuyu. Izuku sighed. "All right. Now it's time to hand out the medals," called out Midnight. "And who is going to do it?" Everyone saw that it was All Might laughing in his hero costume. He jumped down and called out, "I am here with the medals." However, Midnight talked over him by saying, "It's All Might to give the medals." Everyone's sweat dropped at this. "Sorry," said Midnight. All Might sighed. And so, he gave out the medals. He gave the bronze to Tokoyami, praising his skills, followed by giving him a hug. The next, of course, was Shoto, giving her the silver medal. "Young Todoroki, what happened today will be a change, but I'm sure you'll be able to adjust," said All Might, and then he whispered, "I will make sure that your father will stop hurting you and your family." Shoto just nodded as she received the medal, and All Might hugged her. In the crowd, Izuku noticed the way Shoto looked and knew everything was starting to hit her hard. And then All Might gave Katsuki her medal. "Young Bakugo, You really showed the skills you have, both with and without your powers as a magical girl," said All Might. Gave Katsuki the medal and was about to hug her. "Don't you dare hug me!" yelled Katsuki. "Oh come on, it's not that bad," said All Might. "I don't care if you're All Might. Don't you dare hug me!" yelled Katsuki. Everyone watching sweat dropped. "Kaken's not a hugger," said Izuku. "That makes way too much sense," said Ochako. All Might turned to face all of the other students. "You might not be on the podium this year, but I'm sure you will all learn from this and grow, and maybe next year it will be you standing up here," said All Might. He then gave a big grin. "There's something I have to say though, and I think you know what it is," said All Might. The crowd was getting excited. But as it turned out, the crowd wasn't on the same page as everyone else. "Plus Ultra!" yelled the crowd. "Good job everybody!" called out All Might. There was an awkward silence. "Really?" It was the perfect moment to yell out the school motto, yelled out someone in the crowd. Then the booing started. "Sorry, but they really did do a good job," said All Might somewhat weakly. Sometime afterwards, they had all gather for class. "Alright, all of you did a good enough job and some of you have already gotten draft picks. There's no classes for the next 2 days, so get some rest," said Aizawa. As everyone was leaving class, Aizawa looked at Shoto. She sighed and knew that he wanted to talk to her. "What is it?" asked Shoto. "I think you should talk to Hound Dog," sighed Aizawa. Hound Dog was the school's counselor. "I'll think about it," said Shoto. Aizawa sighed and realized it might be something her father ingrained in her, that therapy was for the weak. "I'll trust you for now, but if it looks like you're declining because of this, I will make you see him," said Aizawa. Shoto sighed at that. Shoto noticed that Izuku, Ochako, Tsuyu and Katsuki seemed to be waiting for her. "You don't have to wait for me," said Shoto. "We just wanted to let you know about the group talk tonight," said Ochako. "What?" asked Shoto. "It's something we do every night," said Izuku, with my telepathy. "You don't exactly have a choice in this. We just wanted to let you know," muttered Katsuki. "Fine," said Shoto. "Wait," said Izuku. He texted her something, as it turned out it was an address. "It's my address, in case you ever wanted to come over," said Izuku. "I don't want to be a bother," said Shoto. "You wouldn't be a bother," said Izuku. "But you mother," said Shoto. "Bitch slapped the asshole after finding out how he treated you," pointed out Katsuki. "She will insist that you come over," said Ochako. Reminder, she ate dinner more at the Midoriya than at her own place. "I see," said Shoto, "thank you." Shoto then left. Izuku sighed as she left. Katsuki then slapped Izuku on the head. "Kaken!" cried Izuku. "Stop blaming yourself," muttered Katsuki. "It's not your fault and you know." "But it's my quirk," said Izuku. Katsuki then slapped him again. "Katsuki's right. You did warn him not to touch the light," said Tsuyu. "Yeah," sighed Izuku. "Icy Hot has no one else to blame, and remember she wanted to show everyone that there wasn't a side effect," said Katsuki. Izuku once again sighed. He really hoped that Shoto was going to be okay. After all, it was a big change that she had to adjust to. And it wasn't just the gender bend that was hitting her, but something else as well, and it didn't involve her father, well, at least not directly. All they could hope for was that Shoto would be able to adjust, because if she didn't, it wasn't going to be pretty. That will be it for this part. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and comment if you want part 21. If you want to hear more from me, subscribe. I hope to see you all in the next one.